Beneath the gentle waves that touch our shores lies a world that is darker, colder, and stranger than any place on earth. A place so mysterious that more than 80% of it still remains unexplored, hidden in silence, and sealed in eternal night. The deep sea is not just water and pressure. It is a living universe of creatures that seem almost unreal, beings that defy imagination, and landscapes that look like they belong to another planet. When we look up at the sky, we dream of the stars. But when we look down into the ocean, we face a darkness so vast that even our bravest hearts hesitate. Because what lives there, what hides there, is still unknown. The truth is, we know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the bottom of our own oceans. And this is not just a scientific curiosity, it is an emotional mirror of our own fears and wonders. Down there, in crushing depths where sunlight never reaches, life has adapted in ways that seem both terrifying and breathtaking. Creatures with glowing bodies, with jaws lined like nightmares, with eyes that pierce through the dark as if they were guarding ancient secrets. Some look fragile and angelic, others monstrous and alien. And yet, they are all part of our Earth, living in silence, waiting for us to discover them. But the deep sea is not only about creatures. It is about mysteries buried in darkness. Sunken ships that carry forgotten human stories, underwater volcanoes that shape the earth in silence, and trenches so deep they could swallow Mount Everest whole. It is a world of danger, but also of beauty, a reminder that our planet is still wild, still alive, still full of secrets we have yet to earn the courage to uncover. The question is, what is still waiting to be found? Could there be creatures larger than anything we can imagine? Could the answers to survival, medicine, or even the origins of life itself be hidden in those depths? The deep sea is a mystery that whispers to us in silence, a place that dares us to look closer, to dive deeper, and to face the unknown. Before we dive into this journey together, take a moment to subscribe to this channel. By subscribing, you become part of a community that dares to ask questions, that dreams of exploring what lies beyond the edge of the known world. Join us as we uncover the secrets of the deep sea, because this is not just a documentary. This is a journey into the heart of Earth's greatest mystery. The ocean covers more than 70% of our planet, yet the deep sea remains a place we know almost nothing about. Beneath the blue surface we see every day, there exists a hidden world dark, cold, and eternal. It is a realm untouched by sunlight, where pressure could crush steel, but life still thrives in forms we can barely imagine. Scientists say that more than 80% of the ocean remains unexplored, and within that darkness may live creatures stranger than any alien we dream of in the night sky. The deep sea is not just water, it is a mirror of mystery, fear, and wonder, all locked away beneath waves we take for granted. When human beings first looked at the horizon, something stirred in their hearts. It was curiosity, a need to know what lies beyond the line where the sky kisses the sea. That curiosity has taken us across deserts, through mountains, and even into space. We have built ships, planes, and rockets to satisfy it. We have walked on the moon and sent machines to the edge of the solar system. Yet for all the courage and brilliance we have shown in reaching for the stars, there is a mystery right here on Earth that we have barely touched. It is a mystery so vast, so dark, and so unexplored that it remains Earth's final frontier. That mystery is the deep sea. The deep sea is not like the ocean we see at the beach. The surface waters, the rolling waves, the sunlight sparkling on blue ripples, these are just the skin of a body that runs deeper than imagination. Below the surface lies a world of eternal night. It is cold, silent, and under pressure so crushing that no ordinary human could survive. And yet, it is there, in that endless dark, where life thrives in ways stranger than anything we know on land. This hidden realm calls to us, not with sound, but with silence, with mystery, with a pull that is more emotional than logical. It is as if the ocean itself is whispering, "Come and see what you have forgotten. Come and find what still belongs to you." Scientists say that we know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the bottom of our own oceans. Think about that for a moment. We can map distant planets and send probes across the galaxy, but we still cannot fully describe what lives just a few miles beneath the waves. More than 80% of the deep sea remains unexplored. It is a world untouched, a world that still guards its secrets with the weight of water and the silence of darkness. And maybe that is why it feels so mysterious. Because when something remains unknown, it also remains full of possibility. The call of the unknown is not just about discovery. It is about emotion. It is about facing the parts of our world that make us feel small. The deep sea is not a place that welcomes us easily. It is dangerous. It is dark. It is unforgiving. But it is also beautiful, and in that beauty lies the reason we are drawn to it. We are explorers at heart. No matter how much we build, no matter how many cities we raise, no matter how many stars we reach for, there is always a part of us that wants to stand at the edge of the unknown and take a step forward. The deep sea is that edge. For centuries, humans have told stories about what lies in the ocean's depths. Sailors spoke of monsters with tentacles big enough to pull ships beneath the waves. Legends grew about mermaids, spirits, and creatures that guarded treasures in the abyss. These myths were born not just out of fear, but also out of wonder. They were a reflection of how little we knew. And even now, as science replaces myth, the truth is no less astonishing. We have discovered creatures that glow like stars, fish with transparent bodies, and predators that look more alien than earthly. Each discovery tells us that the deep sea is not empty. It is full, alive, and beyond imagination. The deep sea is Earth's final frontier because it holds everything we do not yet understand about life itself. How do creatures survive without sunlight? How do ecosystems thrive in crushing pressure and freezing temperatures? Could the secrets of new medicines, new energy sources, or even the origins of life itself be waiting in those depths? These questions are not just scientific, they are human. Because every time we look into the dark, we are not just searching for creatures. We are searching for ourselves. We are asking, what does it mean to live in a world that still holds mysteries? What does it mean to be human in the face of the unknown? Exploring the deep sea is more than a mission of science. It is a journey of the soul. When divers sink into the abyss, they describe a silence so profound it feels sacred. The light fades, the water grows colder, and the world above disappears. In that silence, there is fear, but there is also awe. Because you realize that Earth is not fully known, not fully conquered, not fully ours. It is still wild, still vast, still capable of humbling us. And maybe that is why we need the deep sea. Because in our modern lives, surrounded by technology and noise, we forget what it feels like to face something bigger than ourselves. The deep sea gives that back to us. It is also Earth's final frontier, because it is the last place that reminds us of how fragile we are. Every time a submarine descends into the depths, it carries with it the weight of human hope and human fear. One crack in the hull, one failure in the system, and the ocean would claim it instantly. The deep sea does not forgive mistakes. And yet, we keep going. We keep sending machines, divers, and explorers into that world. Why? Because the unknown is worth the risk. The mystery is worth the danger. It is in our nature to reach for what we cannot yet touch, even if it scares us. The call of the unknown in the deep sea is emotional because it reminds us of our childhood dreams. Remember when you were a child, looking at the ocean for the first time? You wondered how far it goes, what lies under the waves, what stories the water hides. That childlike wonder never truly leaves us. It sleeps inside us, waiting for moments when mystery stirs it awake. The deep sea awakens it, pulling us back to that pure curiosity that endless imagination that believes anything is possible. But this call is also urgent. The deep sea is not just beautiful, it is fragile. Climate change, pollution, and human greed threaten to disturb it before we even fully understand it. Plastic reaches the deepest trenches. Oil drilling scars the ocean floor. Species vanish before we even learn their names. If the deep sea is Earth's final frontier, then it is also Earth's final chance to teach us humility, to remind us that discovery comes with responsibility. That to know the deep sea is not just to explore it, but to protect it. Every frontier in human history has been a test. The deserts tested our endurance. The mountains tested our strength. Space tested our imagination. But the deep sea tests something deeper. It tests our courage to face silence, our patience to embrace mystery, and our humility to admit that we are not the masters of this world. We are just guests. And the deep sea, with its endless darkness and endless wonders, is the host. So why is the deep sea Earth's final frontier? Because it is the last place where mystery still breathes freely. It is the last part of our planet that refuses to be mapped, refuses to be tamed, refuses to surrender its secrets. It is a frontier, not just of geography, but of the human spirit. To answer its call is to answer the deepest part of ourselves, the part that longs to see, to know, to wonder. And as long as the deep sea remains unexplored, that call will echo in our hearts, drawing us closer, urging us to dive into the unknown, and reminding us that there are still places on this earth where mystery reigns. When you stand on the shore and look at the ocean, the waves seem playful, sparkling under the sun, gentle in their rhythm. But that surface is only a mask, a thin sheet hiding a secret world below. The deeper you go, the less familiar it becomes. Sunlight begins to fade, colors vanish one by one, and the water grows colder. At first, you can still see blue light shimmering softly, but as you sink lower, the blue disappears too. At a depth of about 1,000 meters, sunlight dies completely. From that point on, you enter a place of eternal night. It is not like the darkness we know on land, where we can switch on a lamp or wait for the sun to rise. This darkness is permanent, stretching endlessly, an ancient blackness that has ruled these waters since the birth of the earth. Imagine being there. Imagine floating in silence, with no sky above and no ground beneath you, only an infinite black pressing against every direction. You stretch your hand in front of your face, but you see nothing. Your body feels small, almost invisible, swallowed by the ocean's emptiness. The water around you is heavy, pressing against you with a force that is impossible to describe. At these depths, pressure is so intense that it could crush a human body instantly. And yet, this is home to countless creatures, each adapted in extraordinary ways to survive what seems unlivable. For them, the abyss is not frightening. It is life. The silence of the deep sea is unlike anything we can hear on the surface. On land, silence is never truly silent. There is always wind, or birds, or the hum of human life. But in the abyss, sound vanishes into the black water. You do not hear waves. You do not hear movement. The silence is so complete that it feels alive, pressing into your ears, wrapping around your mind. This silence can be terrifying. It can make you feel as though you are the last living thing in existence, floating in an endless void. And yet, within that silence lies an eerie beauty. It is a silence that humbles you, that strips away distraction, and leaves you face to face with the raw essence of nature. It is hard for us to imagine what it feels like to live in such darkness. On the surface, we depend on light for everything. Our eyes, our energy, our very sense of time is built around the cycle of day and night. But in the abyss, there is no cycle. There is no morning, no evening, no tomorrow. There is only eternal night. And in that endless night, life has written its own rules. Fish with enormous eyes have evolved to catch the faintest glimmer of light. Others create their own light, glowing with colors that shimmer like stars in the black water. This light, called bioluminescence, is not just beautiful, it is survival. It helps creatures hunt, escape predators, or find mates in a world where sight is almost useless. Think of how strange this is. While we look up at the night sky to see stars, deep-sea creatures look out into their own darkness and see stars of a different kind, tiny bursts of glowing life. The abyss is like a reverse universe, where the stars are not above us but around us, alive and moving, fragile but brilliant. The darkness is not empty. It is filled with sparks of light, whispers of survival, and silent dances of creatures we barely know. But alongside beauty comes fear. The abyss is home to predators that seem born out of nightmares. Some have jaws that unhinge wide enough to swallow prey larger than themselves. Others have teeth so long they cannot close their mouths. Their bodies look fragile, thin, almost ghost-like, but their survival skills are unmatched. To us, they may appear terrifying, but in reality, they are perfect expressions of life's ability to adapt. They remind us that nature is not bound by our ideas of beauty. Life takes forms that are strange, sometimes frightening, yet always extraordinary. Exploring the abyss is one of the greatest challenges humans have ever faced. Machines that descend into these depths must be built like fortresses, strong enough to withstand pressures that could crush submarines like paper. And even then, each dive is filled with risk. When explorers sink into the darkness, they often describe a feeling of floating between two worlds. Above them, life continues under the sun. Below them, silence stretches forever. In those moments, fear is real. What if something goes wrong? What if the abyss decides to claim them? But alongside that fear is wonder. To see the abyss is to witness a part of Earth that has existed untouched for billions of years. It is to feel the heartbeat of the planet in its most hidden form. The crushing pressure of the abyss is something we struggle to even comprehend. At the deepest trenches, pressure is more than 1,000 times greater than at the surface. If you were to stand there unprotected, your body would collapse in an instant. It is a force of nature that does not forgive weakness. And yet, fragile-looking creatures live here with ease. They have bodies designed to withstand, to bend, to move with the water rather than fight against it. Watching them, we learn something profound. Survival is not always about strength. Sometimes it is about surrendering, about adapting, about becoming one with the darkness instead of resisting it. For humans, the abyss also challenges our sense of belonging. We like to believe Earth is our home, a place we understand, a place we have mastered. But when you enter the eternal night of the deep sea, you realize how little of this world we truly own. The ocean is not ours. It never was. We live on its surface, but its heart belongs to the darkness, to the silence, to the creatures that thrive there. The abyss is a reminder that Earth is still wild, still mysterious, still far beyond our control. There is something deeply emotional about this realization. In the silence of the abyss, we feel small, but not in a hopeless way. We feel small in the way a child feels small under the stars humbled, awed, reminded of how big the universe is, and how much of it still waits to be discovered. The deep sea is not just water. It is a mirror for the human spirit. Its darkness reflects our fears. Its silence reflects our longing for peace. And its mysteries reflect our hunger for answers. When explorers return from the abyss, they often speak of being changed. The silence stays with them. The images of glowing creatures linger in their minds, and the memory of that eternal night never fades. It is like touching something sacred, something beyond words. They realize that Earth still has places that can move us, shake us, and remind us that we are not at the center of everything. The abyss does not care about our cities, our technology, or our pride. It simply exists, timeless and vast, holding secrets older than humanity itself. The eternal night of the abyss also forces us to confront our own fears. Darkness has always been a symbol of the unknown, of what we cannot see or control. On land, we light fires, lamps, and screens to keep the darkness away. But in the deep sea, there is no escape. You cannot light it up fully. You cannot banish it. You must accept it, surrender to it, and learn to live with it. And in that surrender lies a lesson for us all. Sometimes the unknown is not an enemy. Sometimes it is a teacher. The crushing silence of the abyss is another teacher. In a world filled with noise, we rarely experience silence anymore. We fill every moment with sound music, traffic, voices, machines. But in the abyss, silence is absolute. And in that silence, there is space to feel, to think, to listen not with ears, but with the soul. It is no wonder that explorers describe it as spiritual, because silence has a way of stripping away illusions and leaving only truth. So when we speak of into the darkness, we are not just talking about a physical journey into the deep sea. We are talking about an emotional journey into the heart of mystery itself. It is a journey that challenges our bodies, our technology, and most of all, our hearts. The eternal night and crushing silence of the abyss remind us that we are part of a world much larger than we imagine. They remind us that mystery is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced. Because in that darkness, in that silence, life still shines. And if life can thrive there, then maybe there are no limits to what life can achieve, no limits to what we can discover, no limits to what we can dream. In the silent blackness of the abyss, where no sunlight ever shines, life has created its own rules. For us, darkness often means emptiness, but in the deep sea, darkness is alive. It is filled with creatures that glow, that hunt, that drift like phantoms in the eternal night. These are the creatures of shadows, beings that exist in a world most of us will never see. They are fragile, they are fierce, they are beautiful, and they are terrifying. Each one of them feels like a piece of a dream or a nightmare come alive. Bioluminescence is one of the most magical sights in the deep sea. Imagine being in a place of perfect darkness, and then suddenly a spark of light appears. Then another, and then hundreds, glowing in colors of green, blue, and sometimes even red. It feels like watching stars, but not in the sky. These stars move, pulse, and live. They are fish, jellyfish, shrimp, and even bacteria, all producing their own light in the darkness. This glow is not just beauty for beauty's sake. It is survival. Some creatures use it to lure prey close, dangling a light like a lantern in the night. Others flash it suddenly to startle predators and escape. And some use it to find a mate, sending signals of light through the dark water like love letters written in glowing ink. One of the most famous deep-sea creatures is the anglerfish. Its body is small, its teeth long and needle-like, and on its head grows a strange rod that glows at the tip. This glowing lure hangs in front of its mouth, swaying gently in the water. In the blackness, smaller fish mistake the light for food and swim closer. They never realize their mistake until it is too late, until the anglerfish snaps its jaws shut and swallows them whole. It is a hunter shaped by darkness, a reminder that survival in the abyss is about trickery as much as strength. But not all glowing creatures are predators. Some are delicate, almost angelic. There are jellyfish that drift with slow pulses, their bodies shining with soft, hypnotic light. Their glow looks like fireworks frozen in slow motion, colors shifting gently as they move. Others look like living ribbons, twisting through the water with shimmering waves of light that ripple across their bodies. In the silence of the deep sea, these glowing movements are like dances, performances meant not for our eyes but for survival. And yet, when we see them, we cannot help but feel awe. There are also creatures that look like ghosts, transparent fish with bodies so clear you can see their organs inside. shrimp that glow faintly like embers, tiny plankton that flicker in countless numbers, making entire clouds of light move through the water. These beings remind us that even in the harshest, darkest places, life does not just survive, it creates beauty. The deep sea, for all its danger, is also one of the most beautiful places on Earth. But beauty in the abyss is always mixed with fear. Many predators of the deep sea look like nightmares given flesh. The gulper eel has a mouth so enormous it can swallow prey twice its own size. Its body looks stretched and fragile, but when it opens its jaws, it becomes a sudden giant. Then there is the fangtooth, a small fish with teeth so long they cannot fit inside its mouth. Its jaws hang open, lined with fangs that look too big for its body. Despite its size, it is one of the most fearsome hunters in the dark. There are also viperfish, with bodies that glow faintly and jaws lined with needle-like teeth, striking their prey with speed and precision. To us, these creatures seem monstrous, almost alien, and in many ways, they are. They do not look like the animals we are familiar with on land. They look like beings from another planet, living in a world that is more alien to us than Mars or the Moon. But the truth is, they are as much a part of Earth as we are. They are products of adaptation, proof that life will always find a way, no matter how impossible the environment seems. They are not monsters, they are survivors. The strangest part is that many of these creatures are rarely seen alive. Most of what we know comes from glimpses caught by deep-sea cameras or from bodies brought up by nets. Often, when they reach the surface, they collapse, their fragile forms crushed by the change in pressure. They are beings shaped perfectly for their world, so delicate that they cannot exist outside of it. It is as if the abyss has created them only for itself, keeping them as secrets hidden from human eyes. That is why every time a camera captures one alive in its natural home, it feels like a gift, a moment of connection with a world we can never fully enter. Bioluminescence, predators, alien forms, all of them speak of a truth about the deep sea. Life there is not random. It is purposeful, shaped by darkness, silence, and crushing pressure. Every glowing light, every sharp tooth, every fragile body is a response to survival. And yet, beyond survival, these creatures stir something emotional in us. They make us feel wonder, fear, and humility all at once. Because when we see them, we realize that Earth is still full of mysteries, still capable of showing us things we never dreamed existed. The deep sea is often called alien, but perhaps we should reverse the thought. Maybe what we call alien is not out there among the stars, but right here, in the waters of our own planet. Maybe we do not need to travel across the galaxy to find life that feels otherworldly. It is already here, glowing in the black, swimming in silence, reminding us that life is infinite in its creativity. When we think of alien worlds, we imagine strange creatures with glowing bodies and sharp teeth. The deep sea has already created them. There is also something deeply emotional about seeing these creatures in their natural darkness. On land, we are used to being the dominant species. We walk with pride, build cities, and believe we are in control. But in the abyss, we are not in control. We are strangers, intruders, guests. The creatures of shadows do not need us. They do not depend on our world. They have existed long before us and will likely exist long after. Seeing them humbles us. It reminds us that life is not about us. It is about survival, about adaptation, about beauty that does not ask for permission to exist. And yet, there is something else these creatures give us hope. If life can thrive in such impossible darkness, if it can glow in silence, hunt in blackness, and dance under crushing pressure, then life can exist anywhere. Perhaps in the icy oceans of other planets. Perhaps in places we cannot even imagine. The creatures of shadows remind us that life is stubborn, creative, and unstoppable. They whisper to us that the universe is more alive than we think. As we watch them, part of us feels fear, but another part feels comfort. Fear, because they look like nightmares. Comfort, because they remind us that survival is possible, even in the harshest places. They are proof that light exists even in eternal night, that beauty exists even in silence, that life exists even where death seems certain. And in that lesson, there is something deeply human, because we too live in a world that can feel dark, cold, and unforgiving. And like the creatures of shadows, we too must adapt, survive, and sometimes glow with our own kind of light. The deep sea's creatures of shadows are not just animals. They are symbols. They are reminders of resilience, of creativity, of the strange and endless forms life can take. They challenge our understanding of what it means to be alive. And most of all, they remind us that our planet still holds secrets that stir our imagination, shake our fears, and fill our hearts with wonder. In the end, when we think of the abyss, it is these creatures we remember. The glowing jellyfish drifting like lanterns, the anglerfish waiting in silence with its deadly lure, the viperfish flashing in the dark, the plankton creating clouds of light. They are shadows, but they are also stars. They are frightening, but they are also beautiful. They are alien, but they are also deeply, perfectly of this earth. Beneath the rolling waves of the ocean lies a graveyard of stories. Some of them are tales of glory, others of tragedy, and many are mysteries that may never be solved. The seabed is not just mud and rock. It is a vast archive, a library written not in ink, but in rusted steel, shattered wood, and crumbling stone. Every sunken ship, every forgotten city, every lost treasure is a chapter of human history swallowed by the sea. And as much as we explore, we have only brushed the surface of this hidden past. The ocean has kept its secrets well, protecting them in silence and darkness for centuries. When a ship sets sail, it carries more than cargo. It carries dreams, hopes, and the lives of everyone aboard. Some ships return home, but many do not. They meet storms, collisions, wars, or the sheer unpredictability of the sea. And when they sink, they take with them not just the bodies of sailors, but the memories of entire nations. The wrecks that rest on the ocean floor are not just broken wood and rusting metal. They are time capsules. They are frozen moments of history, preserved where no human hand can touch them for years. Take the story of the Titanic, perhaps the most famous shipwreck of all time. When it went down in 1912, it carried more than 1,500 lives into the freezing Atlantic depths. For decades, it lay undiscovered, hidden miles below the surface. When explorers finally reached it in 1985, they found a haunting world. There was the grand staircase, once filled with music and laughter, now silent and draped in rust. There were dinner plates, shoes, and even perfume bottles, all resting in the mud as if time had stopped. Seeing those objects in the dark ocean felt like seeing ghosts, reminders of lives that were suddenly interrupted. The Titanic is not just a wreck, it is a reminder of human ambition, human error, and the fragility of life against the power of nature. But the Titanic is only one story among thousands. The oceans hold entire fleets lost to storms and wars. In the Pacific, ships from World War II rest silently, their guns still pointing toward enemies that no longer exist. In the Mediterranean, ancient Roman vessels lie on the seabed, their cargo of amphorae still intact. In the cold waters of the Arctic, Viking ships rest where they sank, their wood preserved by freezing temperatures. Each wreck is a frozen battlefield, a frozen trade route, or a frozen voyage, reminding us that the ocean is both a giver of life and a taker of it. Yet, beyond ships, the sea has hidden something even more mysterious: civilizations. We often think of human history as something carved on land pyramids, temples, ruins standing against the desert wind. But some of the greatest mysteries of our past are not above the ground. They are underwater. There are legends of entire cities swallowed by the sea, stories of floods that erased cultures, and ruins that lie just beyond the reach of sunlight. One of the most haunting examples is the city of Heracleion, once a thriving Egyptian port. For centuries, it was spoken of only in myths, a city that scholars doubted ever existed. But then, in 2000, divers discovered its remains, buried beneath the Mediterranean waves. They found statues as tall as houses, temples, inscriptions, and even coins. The city had been lost for more than 1,000 years, hidden by the sea as if it had never existed. Standing among its ruins underwater feels like stepping into a forgotten dream, one where gods were worshipped and kings once ruled, and then all of it disappeared in silence beneath the waves. Far away, near the coast of India, divers exploring the Gulf of Connaught found what some believe could be the remains of another ancient civilization. Stone structures, walls, and possible artifacts lie scattered across the seabed. If proven true, these ruins would be thousands of years older than the great cities of Mesopotamia. The idea shakes our understanding of history, suggesting that human civilization may have started earlier and in more places than we ever imagined. But because the sea guards its secrets so fiercely, proof is difficult. The ocean reveals just enough to spark our curiosity and then hides the rest, keeping us forever guessing. Perhaps the most famous of all legends is Atlantis, the lost city described by the philosopher Plato. According to him, it was a great civilization, advanced and powerful, but it fell to greed and pride, and the gods punished it by sinking it beneath the sea. For centuries, people have searched for Atlantis, looking in the Atlantic, the Mediterranean, even in the Caribbean. Some believe it is only a myth, a cautionary tale. Others believe it waits somewhere beneath the waves, waiting for us to find it. Whether real or not, Atlantis represents something deeper. Our desire to believe that there is more to history than we know, that great civilizations may have risen and fallen, leaving no trace but whispers and myth. The seabed is also filled with treasures, not just in the form of gold and jewels, but in knowledge. Ancient scrolls may lie sealed in sunken ships. Statues, artwork, and tools rest untouched in watery silence. Even the bones of those who came before us remain there, telling stories of who they were, how they lived, and how they died. To explore the seabed is to open pages of history that have not been read for thousands of years. Each discovery is not just an object, it is a voice from the past, speaking to us through the silence of water. And yet, for all the wonders we have found, the ocean keeps far more hidden. Experts estimate that we have mapped less than 20% of the ocean floor in detail. That means most of the seabed remains a blank canvas. In those blank spaces could lie entire cities, lost ships, and civilizations we have never heard of. The ocean, in this way, is like a storyteller who tells us only fragments of the tale, leaving us hungry for the rest. There is something deeply emotional about knowing that our history is scattered under the waves. It makes us realize how fragile human achievement is. We build monuments, ships, and cities, believing they will last forever. But one storm, one flood, one shift in the earth can erase it all, sending it into the dark waters where time forgets. And yet, paradoxically, the ocean also preserves. What disappears from the land can survive for centuries under the sea. That is why ruins and wrecks remain so hauntingly well preserved. The ocean takes, but it also protects. When divers descend to these sites, it is not just exploration, it is communion with ghosts. Every object they touch was once held by someone long gone. Every stone they see was once part of someone's home, someone's world. It is impossible not to feel a sense of reverence, even grief, when exploring these underwater graves. But there is also wonder, because with every discovery, we get closer to understanding who we are and where we came from. The seabed is not silent. It whispers. It whispers of ships that set sail with hope and never returned. It whispers of civilizations that rose and fell, swallowed by floods and tides. It whispers of treasures still waiting, of stories still untold. And though the ocean has no voice, it speaks to us through these remains, urging us to keep searching, to keep remembering. Perhaps the greatest lesson of the ocean's hidden history is humility. We like to think of ourselves as masters of the earth, builders of great cities and empires. But the sea reminds us that nothing we create is beyond nature's reach. The waves can erase in days what took centuries to build. And yet, the sea does not erase everything. It hides it, keeps it, waits for us to return and look. In this way, the ocean is both destroyer and guardian of history. When we imagine the future, we often look to the stars. We dream of colonies on Mars, of spacecraft crossing galaxies. But before we look too far outward, perhaps we should remember that much of our own past is still unknown, waiting for us here, beneath the waters of our own planet. The seabed holds our forgotten history, and in that history, there may be truths about humanity, about civilization, and about survival that we have yet to learn. To think of the ocean's hidden history is to feel both small and connected. Small, because we realize how little we know. Connected, because every shipwreck, every ruin, every artifact is a thread in the fabric of human story, a reminder that we are part of a long journey that stretches across centuries and oceans. The sea has taken much from us, but it has also given us mystery, wonder, and a reason to keep searching. And maybe that is the greatest treasure of all. Far beneath the surface of the ocean, in the blackest depths where sunlight has never reached, lies a world so strange it feels like another planet. This is a world of crushing pressure, endless night, and cold so deep it seeps into stone. For centuries, humans believed that nothing could survive here. After all, life as we know it depends on sunlight, and down here, there is none. The deep sea was thought to be barren, lifeless, and empty, a silent desert of water. But when explorers finally reached the ocean floor, what they discovered shattered everything we thought we knew about life. In the 1970s, scientists exploring the depths of the Galapagos Rift came across something extraordinary. Rising from the seafloor were strange structures, like chimneys built of stone, spewing out black smoke. These were hydrothermal vents, cracks in the Earth's crust, where seawater seeps down, heats up near molten rock, and bursts back into the ocean at temperatures hot enough to melt metal. Around these vents, scientists expected to find only emptiness. But instead, they found life-abundant, thriving, alien-like life. The vents are sometimes called living volcanoes because they are alive not with fire, but with creatures. Around them gather vast colonies of animals unlike anything seen before. Giant tube worms, taller than a person, stand in dense clusters, their blood-red plumes waving like banners in the current. Strange blind crabs scuttle across the rocks, their claws feeling in the darkness. Shrimp with glowing patches on their backs swim in swarms. Clams as large as dinner plates lie open, their white shells gleaming in the faint glow of the vents. It was as if the scientists had stumbled upon a hidden city at the bottom of the world, a city built not of stone and steel, but of life that defied all rules. What makes these vents so remarkable is that life here does not rely on sunlight at all. Instead, it depends on chemistry. The smoke spewing from the vents is not smoke at all, but minerals and chemicals released from deep inside the earth. Among them is hydrogen sulfide, a gas poisonous to most surface creatures, but vital here. Tiny bacteria feed on these chemicals, using them the way plants use sunlight, creating energy in a process called chemosynthesis. These bacteria are the base of the food chain, the invisible architects of this strange ecosystem. Every giant worm, every clam, every shrimp survives because of them. The idea that life could exist without sunlight was a revolution. Until this discovery, we believed that the sun was the ultimate source of energy for all living things on Earth. Plants captured sunlight, animals ate plants, and predators ate animals. But here, in the darkness, life had found another way. It was like discovering a second origin of life on our planet, one hidden in the shadows of the deep. It showed us that life is not fragile and limited, but adaptable, creative, and resilient. The tube worms are perhaps the most haunting of all the creatures here. They have no mouths, no stomachs, no intestines. Instead, their bodies are filled with bacteria that transform the toxic chemicals from the vents into food. The worms and the bacteria are partners, living together in perfect harmony. One cannot survive without the other. This strange alliance feels almost like a message from nature, a reminder that survival is not about isolation, but cooperation, even in the harshest environments. Around the vents, the ocean floor is transformed into a marketplace of survival. Shrimp cluster near the hottest waters, grazing on bacteria mats that grow in the mineral-rich flow. Crabs and fish lurk nearby, hunting shrimp. Giant mussels and clams filter water filled with bacteria, turning poison into nourishment. Even the rocks are alive, coated with microbial films that shimmer like a living skin. And when one vent dies, collapsing into silence, the creatures move to another, following the heat and chemicals like nomads, wandering a desert of darkness. But perhaps the most breathtaking thought is this: hydrothermal vents may hold clues to the origin of life itself. Many scientists now believe that billions of years ago, when Earth was still young, life may have begun not in shallow pools under the sun, but here in the black depths of the ocean. The chemicals, the heat, the protection from harsh surface conditions, all of it may have provided the spark that gave birth to the first simple organisms. If true, then the vents are not just homes for strange animals, they are cradles of life, the places where our story began. And if life can exist here, thriving without sunlight, then what about elsewhere? What about the icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn, Europa and Enceladus, where oceans lie hidden beneath frozen shells? If hydrothermal vents exist there too, they might also harbor life. Not just microbes, but entire ecosystems, alien yet strangely familiar. Looking at the vents in our own ocean is like looking through a window into other worlds, showing us that life may not be rare, but abundant across the universe. Yet for all their wonder, these vents are fragile. They rise and fall with the restless earth, appearing in one place and vanishing in another. Some last for decades, others for centuries, but eventually they collapse. When they do, the creatures that depend on them must move or die. In this way, events remind us of the delicate balance of existence. Even in a place that feels eternal, life is always changing, always on the edge. When scientists first lowered cameras into these vent fields, they described the sight with awe, even reverence. It was like standing at the edge of a glowing volcano, but instead of fire, there was life. Imagine being in total darkness, then suddenly seeing towers rising from the seafloor, glowing faintly with minerals, surrounded by swarms of creatures. It must have felt like stepping into a dream or into a myth. For centuries, sailors told stories of monsters in the deep, cities of gold, and fiery abysses beneath the sea. Perhaps, in some way, these vents are the truth hidden behind the myth. There is also something deeply emotional in the knowledge that life can thrive where we thought it impossible. It speaks to the resilience of existence, to the unbreakable will of life to find a way, no matter how hostile the world. The vents are not just ecosystems, they are testaments. Testaments that life does not give up. Testaments that survival is possible in the darkest places. Standing at the edge of a vent field, one cannot help but feel small. The ocean reminds us that we know so little, that the earth itself still holds secrets greater than our imagination. And in these secrets lies hope that life is not limited to the narrow band of conditions we once believed. Hope that wherever there is energy, wherever there is water, there may also be life. The vents, the living volcanoes, are not merely wonders of science. They are emotional truths. They tell us that even in the deepest dark, where there is no sun, there can still be light not of fire or electricity, but of life itself. They remind us that beauty is not only found in the bright and the visible, but in the hidden and the unknown. And maybe, just maybe, when we look at these vents, we are looking not only at the ocean floor, but at the beginning of our own story, and perhaps the beginning of countless others across the universe. For as long as humans have gazed out across the endless oceans, we have imagined monsters lurking beneath the waves. Ancient sailors told stories of enormous serpents rising from the water, their coils wrapping around ships until wood cracked and sailors screamed. Legends whispered of the kraken, a beast so vast it could drag entire vessels into the abyss. To stand on the deck of a fragile wooden ship, surrounded by nothing but endless blue, was to feel small and vulnerable, knowing that the sea might hide creatures far larger than anything on land. These stories were not born from nothing. They came from fear, from mystery, from fleeting glimpses of things too big to understand. But they also came from truth. The ocean is Earth's greatest stage for giants. Nowhere else do animals grow to such astonishing sizes. On land, gravity holds back growth. A creature too heavy cannot move, cannot support itself, cannot live. But in the buoyant waters of the sea, bodies can grow to sizes that seem impossible. Here, in the darkness below, are some of the largest animals that have ever lived. And when people speak of the giants of the deep, they speak of a world where myths meet reality. The greatest of these giants is the blue whale. Even though it breathes air like us, it belongs to the ocean. Growing longer than 3 school buses and weighing as much as 30 elephants, the blue whale is not only the largest creature alive today, it is the largest creature to ever exist on Earth. Larger than any dinosaur that ever walked the land. Larger than any beast we can imagine. Its heart alone is the size of a small car. Its tongue weighs as much as an elephant. And yet, this enormous creature feeds on some of the smallest animals in the ocean, tiny shrimp-like krill, swallowed by the ton. There is something humbling in this, something that reminds us that greatness and gentleness can exist side by side. But while the blue whale inspires awe and wonder, the ocean also hides giants that stir darker emotions, fear, dread, and curiosity. Among them is the giant squid. For centuries, sailors reported seeing arms like snakes rising from the deep, covered in suckers the size of plates. They told tales of monsters pulling men into the sea, of beasts with eyes as large as lanterns, staring from the dark. These were dismissed as myths, as drunken sailor stories, as the wild imaginations of men lost at sea. But then, in the last century, truth began to surface. The giant squid is real, growing more than 40 feet long, with tentacles lined with sharp, toothed suckers. It is every bit as strange as legend claimed. Its eyes are the largest in the animal kingdom, enormous orbs, built to capture the faintest flickers of light in the eternal night of the abyss. For centuries, we never saw them alive. They lived too deep, died too fast when brought to the surface. All we found were their bodies, washed up on beaches, or their remains inside the stomachs of sperm whales. For a long time, they were ghosts monsters we knew existed, but only in death. It was not until 2004 that humans photographed a living giant squid in its natural habitat. Seeing its massive form twist in the dark waters was like watching a myth breathe. Even stranger than the giant squid is its even more elusive cousin, the colossal squid. Larger, heavier, and even more mysterious, it has rarely been seen. One specimen, captured by accident in Antarctic waters, stunned scientists. Its tentacles were thicker, its hooks sharper, its eyes like portals into another world. Unlike the giant squid, which is long and slender, the colossal squid is thick and powerful, a true predator of the abyss. And still, we know almost nothing about it. How deep does it live? How does it hunt? How many are out there, roaming the black waters unseen? In every question lies the thrill of mystery, the feeling that the ocean is still far beyond our reach. Yet the giants of the deep are not only squid and whales. The ocean is filled with creatures that dwarf our imaginations. The oarfish, with its silver ribbon-like body, can grow over 30 feet long. Rarely seen, it swims upright, its red fin undulating like fire in the water. For centuries, when oarfish washed ashore, people believed they were sea serpents, living proof of the dragons that haunted their nightmares. Then there are the basking sharks, massive filter feeders with gaping mouths, drifting like ghosts through the water. Harmless, but terrifying in appearance, they may well have inspired some of the earliest sea monster stories. And let us not forget the sperm whale, a true giant of legend. These whales dive deeper than any other mammal, plunging thousands of feet into the abyss to hunt squid. Imagine a creature the size of a house, holding its breath for over an hour, swimming into the darkness where pressure can crush steel. Down there, in battles we will never fully see, sperm whales clash with giant and colossal squids, leaving scars on their skin from tentacles and suckers. These silent wars in the abyss echo the myths of titans battling in hidden realms. Except here, they are not myths. They are real. The ocean holds more secrets than we can count, and with every discovery, we find that myths often carry seeds of truth. The kraken may not rise from the depths to drag ships under, but the giant squid, its living inspiration, is just as haunting. Sea serpents may not circle the oceans, but oarfish, long and otherworldly, drift through the currents. And colossal creatures, like the blue whale, surpass anything ancient sailors could have imagined. But there is more to the giants of the deep than fear or fascination. They are reminders of scale, of perspective, of our own smallness in the vastness of the ocean. To stand on the deck of a boat and know that somewhere beneath you swims a creature longer than your vessel is to feel humility. To imagine a whale singing in the black silence, its voice traveling for hundreds of miles, is to feel wonder. To know that in the depths, wars between whales and squid rage in eternal darkness, is to feel the pulse of mystery itself. These giants also teach us about survival. They live in a world where food is scarce, where pressure is crushing, where light does not reach. To grow so large in such a place requires adaptation beyond imagination. Some giants, like whales, depend on migration, traveling across oceans to follow food. Others, like squid, use cunning and stealth, their size giving them power in the eternal hunt. Each of them tells a story about life's creativity, about the endless ways existence finds to thrive. And there is an emotional truth in these stories. Deep inside us, we are still the sailors of old, looking out over the endless waves, wondering what lives beneath. The fear of the unknown, the awe of the mysterious, the hope of discovering something greater, all of it still lives in us. When we speak of the giants of the deep, we are not just speaking of animals. We are speaking of dreams, of myths, of humanity's eternal longing to understand the world we live in. Perhaps that is why, when we finally see these creatures alive, when cameras capture a giant squid twisting in the abyss, or when we hear the mournful song of a whale echoing through the dark, we feel something deeper than curiosity. We feel connection. A reminder that the ocean, no matter how vast, is part of our earth, our story, our home. The giants are not monsters to be feared. They are wonders to be respected, guardians of the deep that carry both mystery and truth in their silent, powerful existence. In the end, the giants of the deep are not just creatures of flesh and bone. They are symbols of mystery, of survival, of imagination. They remind us that the world is still vast, still unknown, still capable of wonder. And they whisper to us from the depths that no matter how much we discover, there will always be something more waiting, hidden in the darkness of the sea. The ocean is a mirror of our emotions. When we stand at its edge, watching waves crash and retreat, we feel both peace and unease. Its rhythm can lull us, calm us, remind us of life's gentle flow. But the same ocean can also roar like a beast, swallowing ships and shattering coasts with merciless storms. Now imagine leaving the safety of the surface and diving deeper, past the light, into the unknown. The deeper you go, the more the ocean reveals its true nature, not just a body of water, but a world of shadows, silence, and mystery. It is here, in the deep sea, where fear and beauty are no longer opposites. They live side by side, woven into every inch of darkness. There is fear in the abyss, because it defies everything we know. Down there, the pressure is crushing, strong enough to shatter steel. No sunlight ever reaches these waters. The cold seeps into your bones. Your senses fail, and your instincts scream that this is not a place for human life. Every flicker of movement in the shadows can feel like a threat, every shape like the outline of something monstrous. This is the raw fear of the unknown, the same fear our ancestors must have felt standing at the mouths of dark caves or staring into forests they could not see through. The deep sea is not empty. It is alive. And in its darkness, fear feels sharper than ever. But in that same fear lies beauty, an otherworldly beauty that cannot be found anywhere else on earth. Imagine the pitch-black silence of the abyss, suddenly broken by a flicker of blue light, like a star appearing in the night sky. Then another, and another. Soon you are surrounded by galaxies of glowing creatures, each one producing light from within their own bodies. This is bioluminescence, nature's magic trick. Some lights shimmer softly, like floating embers. Others flash in pulses, signaling to potential mates. Still others explode like fireworks, a defense against predators. To watch this silent dance of light in the blackness is to feel you have left Earth and stepped into the universe itself. It is breathtaking, and it is terrifying, because every light belongs to a creature, and in the deep, many creatures are hunters. Fear in the deep sea does not always come from what you see. Sometimes it comes from what you imagine. The human mind is not built for endless darkness. When you stare into the black, your thoughts begin to shape monsters out of nothing. You think of giant teeth waiting just beyond sight, of shadows that move when you are not looking. Even the smallest ripple of water feels like the approach of something vast. And because the ocean is still so unknown, our fears are not unfounded. There are creatures we have yet to discover, shapes we cannot explain, lives we cannot fully understand. The mystery itself becomes a source of terror. And yet, the deep sea also carries a beauty so profound it takes your breath away. Strange, delicate creatures drift like living jewels, their bodies transparent, their organs glowing like lanterns. Some look like ribbons flowing in invisible currents, others like glass sculptures made by artists beyond imagination. There are fish with heads as clear as crystal, showing their brains and eyes within, and jellyfish whose colors shift like liquid rainbows. These creatures are fragile, soft, easily broken, and yet they survive in a place that crushes everything around them. Their beauty is made even greater by the knowledge of their struggle, their defiance of impossible conditions. To explore the deep sea is to feel small, perhaps smaller than anywhere else on Earth. Even standing beneath a mountain, you know you are still on land, with sky above you. But in the abyss, there is only darkness pressing in from all sides. You are surrounded by a world that does not need you, that existed long before you and will exist long after. It humbles you, strips you of arrogance, and forces you to see yourself not as a ruler of Earth, but as a visitor. And strangely, that humility carries its own beauty. To be reminded that we are not the center of everything, that life thrives in places we cannot even endure, is to rediscover wonder itself. Fear also comes from the idea of being trapped there, swallowed by the sea with no escape. Divers and explorers describe how their hearts pound as their vessels descend, the weight of miles of water above them. One mistake, one crack, one failure in the machine keeping them alive, and the deep will claim them instantly. There is no forgiveness in the abyss. And yet, these same explorers also describe moments of overwhelming awe, moments where the beauty of what they see makes the risk worth it. They speak of drifting among glowing creatures, of hearing the haunting calls of whales echoing through the water, of witnessing landscapes that look like alien planets' volcanoes spewing black smoke, mountains hidden beneath waves, trenches deeper than Everest is tall. They are afraid, but they are also alive in a way few people ever feel. The emotional weight of the deep sea lies in this balance. It is terrifying because it reminds us of death, of power beyond our control, of mysteries too vast to solve. But it is beautiful because it reminds us of life, of resilience, of the endless creativity of existence. Every glowing jellyfish, every massive squid, every song of a whale tells us that life is stronger than fear, that beauty can survive even in the darkest places. Perhaps the greatest truth of the deep sea is that fear and beauty are not enemies. They are partners. The fear sharpens the beauty, makes it more vivid, and the beauty softens the fear, makes it bearable. When we look into the abyss, we are looking not just at another part of Earth, but at a reflection of our own souls. We carry fear and beauty within us too. We are terrified of the unknown, of death, of being small. But we are also capable of wonder, of seeing light in the dark, of finding hope even when surrounded by shadow. The ocean reminds us of this. In the end, to explore the deep sea is to surrender to both emotions, to allow fear to make you cautious, but not to let it stop you, to allow beauty to fill you with awe, but not to let it blind you to danger. It is a journey into balance, into humility, into the raw truth of existence, and it changes those who experience it. Explorers return to the surface, not just with new knowledge, but with new hearts. They understand more deeply how fragile, how rare, how miraculous life is. They see Earth not as a resource, but as a gift. So the deep sea remains, calling us with its mix of terror and wonder. It dares us to descend, to face what we fear most, and to discover beauty that takes our breath away. It is a place where nightmares and dreams swim side by side, where darkness is filled with stars, where silence carries the songs of giants. It is Earth's last mystery, and perhaps its greatest treasure, not just because of what it hides, but because of what it teaches us about ourselves. When we look into the abyss, we do not only see the ocean, we see fear, we see beauty, and in the space between them, we see humanity. When people hear about deep-sea exploration, they often imagine strange creatures, dark waters, and alien landscapes hidden far below. They see it as a distant mystery, something separated from daily life. But the truth is, the deep sea is not just a faraway curiosity. It is part of us, part of our survival, part of our future. To understand the deep sea is to understand humanity itself, our fears, our hopes, our mistakes, and our possibilities. The ocean covers more than 70% of Earth, and most of that is unexplored. To ignore the deep is to ignore most of our own planet. And in that unexplored darkness, there are answers that could shape the destiny of life on Earth. The connection begins with something as simple as breath. Every second, as you inhale, a part of the oxygen filling your lungs comes from the ocean. Tiny organisms called phytoplankton, drifting near the surface, produce more oxygen than all the world's forests combined. They are the hidden lungs of the Earth, and though they live in sunlight zones, their health and survival are deeply tied to the balance of the entire ocean, including its deepest layers. Currents carry nutrients up and down like veins in a body, connecting shallow and deep in an endless cycle. If the deep sea collapses, the balance breaks. If it thrives, life above thrives too. The deep is not separate from us. It is the foundation beneath our every breath. But the deep sea holds more than just air for our lungs. It holds food for our bodies. Millions of people around the world rely on fish as their main source of protein, and many of those fish depend on deep sea systems to survive. The dark waters act like a nursery for countless species. a safe place for them to grow before swimming toward shallower seas. When deep habitats are damaged by human activity, fish populations collapse, and when they collapse, communities suffer. Hunger grows, economies weaken, families lose their security. Exploring the deep is not just about finding strange creatures. It is about protecting a chain of life that begins in the abyss and ends on our dinner plates. Beyond food and breath, the deep sea holds medicine. Hidden in its cold darkness are organisms that carry chemical secrets, unlike anything we have on land. Scientists have already discovered compounds in deep sea creatures that can fight cancer, heal infections, and ease pain. Who knows what other cures are waiting to be found? A tiny worm clinging to a hydrothermal vent, a jellyfish glowing with strange proteins, a microbe thriving in boiling black smoke, each one might carry answers to diseases that plague humanity. But if we destroy their homes before we even know they exist, those answers will be lost forever. Exploring the deep is not just curiosity. It is survival, healing, and hope. The deep sea also holds warnings. In its silent layers lie records of Earth's past, written in sediments and currents. By studying them, scientists learn how the climate has changed, how life has adapted, how disasters have unfolded. The deep is a history book written in water and stone, one that can guide us into the future. Rising seas, shifting currents, warming waters, all of these threaten humanity in the years ahead. The answers to how we can face them lie hidden in the abyss. If we ignore the deep, we blind ourselves to the warnings. If we study it, we give ourselves a chance to prepare, to adapt, to survive. But perhaps the most powerful connection is not physical. It is emotional. There is something in the deep sea that speaks to our souls. To look into the abyss is to confront both fear and wonder. It humbles us, reminding us that we are small in a vast universe. It inspires us, showing us beauty beyond imagination. And it challenges us, asking whether we are willing to step into the unknown for the sake of knowledge, for the sake of future generations. Exploration of the deep sea is more than science. It is a mirror of what it means to be human, our endless curiosity, our hunger for discovery, our courage to face the dark. Some people ask, why spend resources on exploring the deep when we have so many problems on the surface? But that question misunderstands the truth. Exploring the deep is not separate from solving our problems. It is part of solving them. By understanding the deep, we learn how to protect food, how to heal disease, how to prepare for climate change, how to respect life in all its forms. The deep is not a distraction. It is a lifeline. Every discovery, every expedition, every descent into the abyss brings knowledge that echoes back into our daily lives. And beyond the practical, there is something else. The deep sea represents the last frontier of Earth. It is one of the few places that remains untouched, mysterious, waiting. In a world where satellites map every mountain, where roads cross every desert, where skies are filled with plains, the deep sea reminds us that mystery still exists, that not everything has been conquered, that there are still questions without answers. And humanity needs mystery. We need it as much as we need air and water. Mystery fuels imagination. It drives innovation. It teaches us humility. Without it, we lose something essential to our spirit. By exploring the deep, we preserve that sense of wonder, that fire of curiosity that has carried us from caves to cities, from Earth to the stars. But exploration comes with responsibility. The deep sea is fragile. Its ecosystems grow slowly. Creatures live for centuries, and recovery takes millennia. One careless act of mining, one greedy act of dumping, one mistake of pollution can destroy what took nature millions of years to build. To explore without care is to risk turning beauty into emptiness. The human connection to the deep is not only about what we can take, it is about what we must protect. To respect the abyss, to guard its secrets, to pass it on unbroken to the future, That is the true measure of humanity. Imagine a child standing by the ocean years from now, listening to its waves. Will that child inherit an ocean glowing with life, or a silent one stripped bare? Will they see glowing jellyfish drifting like stars, or only dead waters poisoned by our neglect? The answer depends on the choices we make today. And those choices begin with knowledge, with exploration, with understanding, with connection. The deep sea is not far away. It is here, beneath us, holding our breath, our food, our medicine, our history, our future. To explore it is to honor life itself. In the end, the question is not whether we need the deep sea. The question is whether we are willing to see it as part of us. It is easy to forget, when we live on land, that we are children of the ocean. Our ancestors came from its waters. Our bodies still carry its salt. Our survival still depends on its rhythms. When we explore the deep, we are not stepping into a foreign world. We are returning home. And perhaps that is the most emotional truth of all. The deep sea is not just an unknown. It is a reminder that humanity and Earth are one story, not two. We cannot separate our lives from the lives that glow in the darkness. We cannot separate our future from the currents that circle the abyss. To explore the deep sea is to explore ourselves. To protect it is to protect our children. To respect it is to respect the miracle of life. So the call of the deep is not only for scientists, not only for explorers, it is for all of us. It whispers that fear and beauty can live together, that mystery is still alive, that our future is written not just in the sky above, but in the sea below. The abyss is waiting, not to frighten us, not to defeat us, but to remind us of who we are and what we might become. Humanity's connection to the deep sea is not a choice. It is a truth. The only choice is whether we honor it or ignore it. And that choice will decide our future. There is something haunting about the ocean. We can map the stars. We can photograph galaxies millions of light years away, but most of our own planet still hides in shadow. The deep sea is a reminder that no matter how far we advance, mystery will always remain. That darkness beneath the waves is not just water, it is a mirror, showing us the limits of human knowledge and the vastness of what we still do not understand. To stand at the edge of the sea, gazing out into the horizon, is to stand before eternity itself. The waves whisper not of answers, but of questions. And maybe that is the most powerful thing of all. The unknown frightens us. From the earliest days of human history, people feared what lay beneath the surface. They told stories of monsters rising from the depths, of endless abysses that could swallow ships whole, of cursed waters where no man returned. And yet, at the same time, we were drawn to it. Sailors set out into the open ocean. Explorers dared to cross forbidden waters. And now, scientists send machines and submarines into blackness where sunlight will never touch. Fear and curiosity walk together when we think of the sea. We are terrified of what we cannot see, but we cannot look away either. That emotional pull, the balance between dread and wonder, is what makes the deep sea so human. Every dive into the abyss is more than a scientific mission. It is a journey into the unknown parts of ourselves. When a submarine descends into darkness, it carries not only technology, but also human hope, human longing, human courage. It is as if we are saying to the universe, we are not afraid to look. We are not afraid to face what we do not understand. That act of descending into black waters, knowing you may find nothing or you may find everything, is one of the purest forms of human bravery. And yet, even after centuries of exploration, the deep sea still refuses to give up its secrets fully. We discover glowing creatures that look like living stars, volcanoes that burn beneath the ocean floor, landscapes stranger than alien worlds, and still, we know almost nothing. For every question answered, 100 new ones arise. Why do some creatures glow with light? What lives in trenches deeper than Mount Everest is tall? Could there be forms of life so different from our own that we cannot even recognize them? The mystery grows, not shrinks, with every discovery. The abyss is like a puzzle, with pieces scattered across infinity, and we may never complete it. But maybe the mystery is not something to solve. Maybe it is something to live with. The deep sea teaches us that not every question has an answer, and not every journey ends with clarity. Sometimes the value is in the search itself. The act of exploring shapes us. The act of wondering expands us. The act of confronting the unknown humbles us. The mystery that remains in the deep is not a failure of science. It is a gift to the human spirit. It keeps us curious. It keeps us dreaming. There is beauty in not knowing. Imagine standing on the deck of a ship, staring into the endless horizon at night. The stars above shine like diamonds. The sea below stretches into black silence. And in between stands you, a tiny being caught between two infinities. You know you will never fully understand either the stars or the sea, but still, your heart is lifted by their presence. Mystery makes the world alive. It makes life more than survival. It gives it depth, poetry, and wonder. The emotional journey of discovery is not only about what we find. It is also about what we feel. Awe, when a glowing jellyfish drifts like a lantern through eternal night. Fear, when the silence of the abyss presses in from all sides. Joy, when a new species is captured on camera for the first time. Sadness, when we see the scars of human greed reaching even into the deepest trenches. Each emotion becomes part of the story, part of the connection between humanity and the ocean. To explore the deep is to open ourselves to feeling, to let the unknown change us. And maybe that is the greatest lesson. We do not explore the deep sea only to know more about the earth. We explore it to know more about ourselves. The ocean shows us our limits, but it also shows us our potential. It reminds us that we are small, but also that we are bold, that we are fragile, but also that we are endlessly curious. Every discovery, every reflection, every moment of wonder in the abyss is also a reminder of what it means to be human. The mystery that remains in the deep sea is eternal. No matter how many submarines we send, no matter how advanced our machines become, there will always be another layer of darkness, another hidden creature, another unanswered question. The ocean guards its secrets not out of cruelty, but out of truth. Some mysteries are meant to last. And perhaps that is how it should be. Because as long as mystery exists, humanity will keep searching, keep reaching, keep dreaming. Without the unknown, we would stop moving forward. So when we think of the deep sea, we should not think only of danger or of fear. We should think of possibility. We should think of wonder. We should think of the way the abyss holds both silence and song, terror and beauty, answers and questions. It is not just a place on earth, it is a symbol of everything we have yet to discover, everything we may yet become. In the end, the mystery that remains is not a problem to solve, but a story to live.